Hey guys, Bob here at Bob's Classic Cars and Parts. So I'm at a little bit of a crossroads with this Dakota of mine. It's my work truck. As you can see, I'm a mobile touch-up guy, and I do repairs on the car lots, car dealers. So I work out of this truck. I've owned it for 3 years now. It's been holding up really good until about 2 weeks ago. It overheated on me, and it was my fault it overheated. It had the stock radiator cap on it. This is a 2000, so it's rated. This is 2024. So the radiator cap should have been replaced when I first bought the truck, and I didn't. And the radiator cap failed, and it blew coolant out all around the radiator cap, and it caused the engine to run hot. And I got it off the road, put a cap on it, topped it off with fluid, drove it about a week, and it was doing fine, no problems. Wasn't losing any coolant. I noticed yesterday when I went to, in the morning, I went to remove the cap to see if there was any loss of coolant. And it had a lot of pressure on it, and it blew coolant. The engine had sat overnight now, 7-8 hours. It's dead cold. Pressure on the cap that morning at 8:30 in the morning, it blew coolant out all into the battery tray, all over the hose. I said, that ain't right. That's not a good sign. That's a sign it's cracked head or exhaust side of the head gasket, and it's pumping exhaust into the coolant system. Went on and drove it just to see how it did, and it did fine for a long time. I had a good little drive yesterday to get to the dealer I was working at, and it started to get just a little bit warmer than normal. It went from 190 to about 200. I thought, okay, let me keep my eye on it. But all the way home, when I finished and came home, it never had any problems. Stayed right there. Same thing this morning. I went out, went to check, pulled the cap, so check the fluid, blew fluid all over everything. It was still under pressure. Oh boy, so I said something's wrong. So I went on and drove to work. Got about halfway to work, and I noticed it was climbing. It got up over 210. Well, it didn't get up over 210, it got over 200 again. And the last couple miles, it was starting to climb. It got up to 205. Pulled into the dealership, the very spot you see it right here, and the gauge went to 210. It was climbing, and I went on and shut it off. So I'm not going to drive it anymore. But these 4.7s, I love these engines. The overhead cam, they got a lot of power for a 25-year-old engine, 24-year-old engine. But I'm at a crossroads here. I'm going to take it to the shop and have them look at it. I'm pretty sure heads are going to come off. Heads come off, check them, see if they're cracked. If I was going to put heads on, I'd want to go back with the high performance heads, and with the high performance camshafts that came on, like the Grand Cherokees 2005, 6, 7, somewhere along in there, made about 20 more horsepower. If I'm going to do all that, put those heads on it. Problem is finding heads for these cars, these engines that aren't cracked. They're failure prone, and while I'm in it, might as well put timing chain in it, tensioners, all that kind of stuff, new valve seals. Probably looking at $4,000 to do all that, and I still stuck with a 235,000 mile bottom end and $235,000 four-wheel drive transmission. And these trucks are also famous for having ball joint issues. I can have them check the ball joints while it's in the shop. I think this truck's already had them replaced because the bushings look to be fairly new, but the racking pinion's got some play in it. Go ahead and have them put a racking pinion in it. So probably looking at $5,000 to get all that work done. Should I do that to this truck? I love this truck. It's perfect for me. I really do love it. Buy a new truck nowadays, $45,000 to $55,000. You're looking at for a mid-sized truck, a Colorado or Tacoma, Frontier or something like that. You're going to spend $45,000 to $50,000. Buy a used one, you're looking at with low miles, say 60,000 miles, you're going to be looking at 30 to 35. And I'm talking about my market area. Where you at, it may be higher, maybe less, but around Raleigh, North Carolina, because I'm on dealerships lots all the time, that's what you're going to find. Looking at 30,000, 35,000 for a used one. 5 years down the road, you still owe 10,000 on it, and it starts breaking down too. So sink 5 to 6,000 in this one. That's why I'm at a crossroads, so I'll keep you posted on what happens with it. Okay guys, Bob here. So as you can see, I've had the Dakota, had to have it towed to the house. I did that as a precaution. It overheated on me heading to work. Well, it did not overheat on me. I'll take that back. The temperature gauge started slowly climbing, and it stayed that way for maybe 6-7 miles. Started getting into some stoplights and some traffic, and then it started climbing a little faster. And I was about 2 miles from work. I was able to get to work. It went past halfway on the mark, and it was rapidly climbing. Pulled it in the parking lot. I was a technician and I'm friends with, standing out there in the parking lot. I was at a car dealership, and I flagged him to come take a look at it, and left it running, opened the hood. He looked at it, nothing was dripping out. I kind of gave him the details on it, and it kept climbing, got to about 3/4 of the way. Still didn't have the gauge pegged, but a lot hotter than it should be, than it's ever run, other than that one day when it did peg the gauge. So we shut it off, and you could hear, sound like you hear water boiling in the reservoir here. That's a bad sign. And let it cool off there while I was at work. And around 12:30, 1:30, somewhere along there, I went back out to release the cap, see if I lost any fluid. There was nothing coming out the exhaust over here. No steam, no drips. The oil water mix is good. Let's pull this cap. See, there's no foam. I mean, I'm not getting any mix. Let's pull this dipstick. It looks good. Don't see anything, no foam. So I'm not getting any water mix. But here's what I am getting, other than it reading high on the gauge. Let me wipe that right quick. Watch this right here. Now this was on Wednesday. Truck's been sitting out here since about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. It's Saturday morning. Watch this. Look at that, nothing. Okay, I came out later that afternoon, and the next day, about that after it set for 24 hours, and it still had pressure on the cap. So now it doesn't. That's a good sign. I was thinking, I talked to some folks, even that technician, he said it's possible the exhaust side of the head gasket or the head is cracked, and it's pumping compression into the cylinder, into the coolant system, and that's what's holding the pressure. I've also found out that you can bleed it with right here. Don't know why I would need to bleed it. Haven't added it. I've added a little bit of fluid, but I haven't done any work on it. And also, I've been told that the thermostat, which is down here somewhere on that bottom hose, it can get stuck and cause them to overheat. But I don't know what would cause it to build up pressure and maintain pressure. Like I said, that morning that it overheated and had to get towed the second time, or not overheated, but got warm. After it sat all night, I went to release that, and it just blew antifreeze all out the coolant reservoir. Bizarre, very bizarre. So let me take that cap off and let's see what we got going on. Now, while we're out here, you can see there's antifreeze all the way up there. I don't know if that's too high or what. Need to read the fine print here, but let me pop that cap off. Now I got this tester. What I was gonna do, I'm gonna put this tester on. This is an old school tester. It's made by AC Delco. You put the cap, you put this on, and don't pump it up, just put it on, start the engine up and see if it builds pressure on that gauge. If that doesn't seal good, then my neighbor's got a snap-on one. We'll bring it over here. Okay, the cap came off. There's no foam on the cap. Brand new cap's been on there maybe 10 days. Bought it at O'Reilly's. I don't see anything foam-wise oil mix in there. The coolant is low, but I can see it down at the very bottom. I don't know how low it is, but let's test it first. Let me put this tester on and start it up, see what happens. Okay, I think it's on okay. I thought I might take that back off and just see if I've got coolant immediately running. Let's try this first. I'm gonna take just a second to see if it's got pressure. All right, let's get in here and start it up. And as you can see right there, it is about on the, it's dead cold. It hasn't been started in, what, 4 days? Oh, You never heard it make that noise before. Let's see if we build up any pressure. Nope. That's a good sign. I'm going to take this off and I'm going to see if there's any coolant flowing. Okay, I added water to it. And I don't really see anything happening. The engine's shaking a little bit, shaking the water, but there doesn't appear to be any compression blow by. But it sure was quite a bit low on water. I probably put, I don't know, maybe a half a quart. See what the gauge looks like. And the gauge still looks okay. I say let's let it sit here and run for a little bit. See what happens. Okay, there's no water dripping out, no steam. That's a good sign. Engine sounds okay, no misfires or anything. Okay, it's been running, I don't know, 3-4 minutes. Starting to push the water up a little bit. And the gauge, I noticed a while ago, was starting to come up a little. That's not bad though. The water is getting a little bit warm. I still haven't seen anything yet that would concern me. I don't see any movement there, so it's not, and the water's warm, so the thermostat would have to be open. It's not hot, but warm. See if I got my thermometer. Grab it right quick. Okay. It's just stuck it in. It was around 100 degrees. I know that's more for air conditioning and not really for radiators, but let's watch it and see what happens. It's slowly coming up. The water's getting ready to start boiling out. I'm gonna let it boil out a little bit. I'm wondering if having that radiator cap off will burp the system. I've had this car towed, this truck towed twice in the last 10 days and really don't want to tow it anymore. It seems to be running fine, and I drive it up in the town where I work at, and starts over getting a little warm, and then I have to have it towed. So like I said, the last time it didn't actually overheat, it just went past the that was a burp right there. It's getting ready to start boiling out. I'm gonna cut you off for just a bit. All right, guys, it's been running for about 10 minutes, and the temperature is up to, we're climbing on past 160. That's as high as this thing goes. Like I said, it's not made for coolant systems. It's made for, there's no reason to put that in there anymore. It's still burping the system. And actually about 10 minutes, let's look and see what the gauge is reading or showing. All right, that right there is real close to where it's been running since I replaced the radiator cap. Before I replaced the radiator cap, the needle would be on about the 0. When it started getting warm on me, it was just to the right of the 2. Let me get you a little closer. That was on this past Wednesday, and then as I got in traffic, it started to climb, and it went just to the right of the 0 by the time I got to work. So it climbed that far, sitting in traffic, maybe 2-mile drive in traffic, maybe 5 minutes. But it seems to be holding its own right here. I did have to add some coolant. Something's causing it to push coolant out. Not sure. Puzzling. I'm gonna let it continue to run and burp. Okay, so still burping. I guess some of that could be the water pump. Yeah, I can clearly see there's movement now. It is circulating. A few minutes ago, I grabbed the top hose. It was warm, not what I would call hot, but definitely warm. I crawled up under the truck, grabbed the bottom hoses close to the radiator, but I couldn't get any further out because I was worried about the fan hitting my fingers. So I got about that far from the edge of the radiator, and it was kind of lukewarm, a lot cooler than this top hose, which I think is the way it's supposed to be, I believe. If it's cooling and circulating, it's supposed to return cooler water back to the radiator. I did rev it up just a tiny bit, not much. Went from idle to about 400 RPMs, and it blew water all up out the opening here, the radiator cap. So that's probably from the water pump turning it, juicing the water pump. Looking at the gauge, it is still. Guys, I don't see nothing wrong. I don't know why the hell it was overheating. They were warming up the other day. Other than it mysteriously lost water. So I'm wondering now if that radiator cap is not right effective or something. Damn thing's running fine. It's been almost 30 minutes. We'll let it run a little bit longer. So the Dakota has been running over 30 minutes. Still get a little blurp out of the coolant system. And the gauge is dead on. I mean, it's been sitting right there for at least 20 minutes after it warmed up. Top hose is hot. The bottom hose is not as hot, as cooler, which I believe is how it's supposed to be. I don't see anything wrong. I don't know why it overheated. It's running fine. See if there's any steam coming out or water coming out the tailpipe. Can't be, because it ain't losing any water. Nope. That's just condensation. Steaming up. There's a little drip coming out there, but it's water, about antifreeze. I think that's just condensation. Okay, 35 minutes. That hose is pretty hot. It's been doing that exact thing the whole time. It's a little bubble every now and then. I'm wondering if you have to have pressure on the cap to purge it. I don't know about, I've never purged the engine before. We can do that later, but it seems to be running fine. 35 minutes sitting here idling. I do have a little drip of water coming out of the tailpipe. As you can see, the gauge is right where it's been the whole time. That's where it was past couple weeks. I have to put that cap on it. I think the water that's coming out of the exhaust is just condensation. It needs to be going on the road and drive it. You won't see that, I think. That's where we're at, 35 minutes into it. I don't see anything wrong. Okay, well, I put the cap back on it, pushed the little lever down, and it's just, I had just cut it off, so it's still very, very hot. So I should say very, very hot. It's misleading, but it's still right where it was. So I'm gonna let it run 10, 15 minutes with the cap on and see what happens. Okay, so it's been running for about 10 minutes with the cap on it. Seems to be doing just fine. Temperature gauge is right where it's been. I can't tell it's moved any, and I got the air conditioner on high. Trying to put a little bit of load on the engine. Let's see if we got any moisture coming out of the tailpipe now. Yep, still a little bit, but again, I think that's condensation. It appears to be water. It's not antifreeze, so I think we're good. I'm gonna take it for, I'm gonna let it cool off and check the water in it again. Why is it spitting water out? Or is it, appears to be spitting out right here, and like I said, it was under pressure. Well, I went out the next morning twice after it set overnight, so maybe I got a bad cap. Brand new cap that's not good. If that's the case, I'll try a regular cap without the lever on it. Okay, so it's Sunday morning, and the truck is set over all night. Now, yesterday afternoon, probably 3 hours after I last had it running, I came out here and popped the hood, and there was no pressure on the cap. Although I didn't drive it, I just let it, you saw in the video, It sat there in the yard by the shop and ran for 40 minutes or so. And this here was full. The overflow was full. You can see it's during the night sometime it belched. It's wet. I just popped the hood. I haven't done anything. I did check the oil. The oil is over full, but it's golden. I just changed it a while ago, and it's golden. Looks great. I removed the oil fill cap. No foam or anything there, so I'm not seeing any mix. Let's see if we got any pressure. Nope, no pressure. It's hard to do this with one hand. And it is a little low. It's definitely could use some coolant. So it's crazy. I don't understand what's going on. I'm gonna try to drive this truck this afternoon when I get back home, and I gotta go visit my dad. He's up in the hospital. So we'll come and drive it this afternoon, top it off with a little bit of water. In fact, I might top it off right now and just see if it leaks any more down. Let me do that right quick. Okay, so I've been driving it maybe 2 miles, and you see where the temperature gauge is. Look at the mileage odometer. So we'll see how far we get. 236.010. I've probably gone 2 miles. Starting to creak back down as it's here idle. It's crazy. But that looks like a thermostat doing that. Anyway, I'm gonna drive around a little bit, see what happens. Okay, as you can see, I'm back home. There's my driveway. My Ram. So I went about 28 miles. I think I had 236.028. I'm sorry, 236.002. Now it's got 236.030. So I went about 28 miles. Temperature gauge is right there. It's been right there the whole time. You can see the truck is still running. So fuel, oil pressure looks good. Everything looks good. Battery. Truck ran perfect. Ran flawless. Warmed up appropriate. Maybe 3 miles, 4 miles, and it got to that temperature and it stayed. It's about 90. It was about 88 out here today. I ran through a little 5-minute shower. No problems. It didn't change the gauge or anything. Cooled down a little bit. Water blowing through the grill. I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna drive it. I guess it got enough air out of it, which it did this the other day. I thought it was fine, and I went to work that Wednesday and overheated on me. So and out of precaution, I had it towed back. I didn't want to risk driving it back home. So I got you guys know from my videos, I run a mobile chip business, touch-up scratch business. So I got to go to a dealership about 30 miles away. So I made a 30-mile trip today. So Tuesday, I've got to go to that dealership. Tomorrow I got something else to do. I need a different truck. So I don't know. I guess I got it this morning, and it had burnt air bubbles, out of the overflow bottle. I left the overflow tank, the lid on the tank unattached, unclosed, and it burnt the water out all over the side of the tank this overnight. And there was no pressure on the system. I checked it yesterday afternoon. There's no pressure on the system, so it was down about another half a quart. I added another half a quart of coolant to it, actually straight water. And like I said, it burped it out overnight. So yeah, I'm thinking it's got some kind of air bubble. I did have an issue with the oil level is about a quart over full for some reason, but I don't see any mix. There's no mix on the stick, none on the cap. I'll check all that again tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, but Tuesday we'll put a final stamp on this video Tuesday. Went by the auto parts store to get a thermostat, and they showed to have one in stock, but couldn't find it. So I'm gonna have to order one off of Amazon, I guess. But stay tuned. We're gonna get one more little bit of video. I know this thing's getting long, but I'm gonna try to make it to working back on Tuesday. Okay, folks, Bob here. So Tuesday morning, getting ready to head into town. I got some jobs to do in town. So truck's set for a couple of days now. It's cold. The truck's cold, and just checked the oil and the coolant, and everything looks okay. So let's fire it up. Let's see if we can get it. Should be about the same distance as I drove the other day. So started right up. All right, I'll be back with you. Wow, I've been sitting here in traffic for a few minutes now, and it's not overheating yet. This is where it started overheating the last time. They're working on the roads up here, and I had to move over a lane. This right lane here is closed, and so I have been sitting here trying to get through this intersection for about 10 minutes. So far so good though. Well, we made it to work. I'm here at the job site that I need to go to today, and it was roughly about the same mileage, I guess, thereabouts. Temperature looks good, truck performed flawlessly, even in that traffic where they were working on the road and got hung up for a little over 10 minutes. No issues whatsoever. So let's see if we can make it back home when we're done working up here, and then we'll close this video out. Okay guys, Bob here. So I drove it yesterday, probably 70 miles or so, I don't know. Really hadn't checked the odometer, but drove it all over. Made quite a few trips on it. Let's see if we can get the odometer reading here. All right, we're showing 236,087. Truck ran great, never overheated like I showed in the video. I got tied up in that one traffic jam for about 10-12 minutes. Got me a little worried, but I kept an eye on the gauge. It never changed, never moved. So transmission, air conditioning, everything seemed to work okay. Got it this morning. Came out here, oil level was still a little high. No sign of a mix. And it has puked out some more. You can see it's wet around here. So I took the radiator cap off, and I guess that's called a radiator cap. And it's definitely a little bit low there. Could use a little bit of coolant, not much. So I don't know. I guess we still got an air bubble in it. I'm convinced now, after talking with people and watching several videos on YouTube, that these things are prone to air bubbles. High in the world, an air bubble got in it. I was just driving it and hadn't done anything to it, and it overheated that first time. Pegged the gauge. It's overheated again since then. So I don't know. We just got to see what happens. If I have to, I'll buy that funnel system that they use and put it up on ramps. Everybody says put it up on ramps, get it high, which it looks to me like it's higher than the rest of the cooling system. So I don't know. Anyhow, for right now, I'm going to continue to drive it. A little apprehensive, but it seemed to be okay. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on it. This is going to end this video. I know it's a long one. I hope you guys learned something from this mess that I'm in. Truck runs great. 24 years old with all those miles on it. So appreciate you watching, and please look at some of the other videos. Got all kind of content on this channel. It's automotive channel with a vast variety of things, from junkyard crawls to private car collections to stuff we're working on like this Dakota. Also some car racing we do. So all kinds of neat stuff. Pick out something you like, enjoy it, share it with your friends, and hit the thumbs up, like button on that too. And if you don't mind, subscribe and watch some of the videos on a regular basis. All right, folks, Bob out.